This is Philadelphia 76ers Now by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Sr., and here's what we have coming up. Is Daryl Morey on the hot seat? And the Sixers seem to be committed to their current roster, and they're not going to tank. All of that and a whole lot more coming your way right now. But this is Philadelphia 76ers Now. And so if you're a Sixers fan, chances are you might be an Eagles fan. Myself and Chip, we also run our Eagles channel here at Chat Sports. More than 100,000 subscribers. It's called Philadelphia Eagles Now. We're going to be going to New Orleans with our Super Bowl coverage. So if you want the Eagles to win the Super Bowl, deny the Chiefs that three-peat, I want you to hit that thumbs up icon, like the video, FKC. Bob Myers to Philadelphia. Could it happen? And could he replace Daryl Morey? Let's discuss that first here on the show. The former Warriors general manager could replace Daryl Morey in Philadelphia, heading basketball operations for this organization, per Bill Simmons. Here's what Simmons said on his podcast. You know Bob Myers helped the Washington Commanders with the football team, right? He was on that advisory committee, and I just feel like he's looming with this Sixers thing, and I don't think I'm alone. There's been some Bob Myers Philly buzz that I think has been building because I think he had a good experience with Josh Harris. If there is a fall guy, which we talked about earlier, it's going to be Nick Nurse and Daryl Morey. If you're not familiar with Bob Myers, he was the architect of that great Golden State Warriors run headlined by Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and Steve Kerr. He was the Warriors general manager from 2012 to 2023. 6 NBA Finals trips. He was a 4-time NBA champion and a 2-time NBA Executive of the Year, and he was one of the driving forces behind bringing Kevin Durant to San Francisco. He did step down in 2023 to become an ESPN NBA analyst, but then Joshua Harris, who owns the Commanders and also owns the Sixers, hired him to be a part of an advisory committee to find a general manager and a head coach for the Commanders. During Bob Myers' tenure, he hired Steve Kerr. He signed Kevin Durant. He drafted Draymond Green, drafted Harrison Barnes, drafted Kevon Looney, drafted Jordan Poole, signed Andre Iguodala. He then became an NBA Finals MVP, signed Sean Livingston, traded for Andrew Wiggins, and traded for Andrew Bogut. So yes, he did inherit Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, but look at all of these moves that he made, which led to championship-level play and championship-level results. He also made the hard decision of firing Mark Jackson and hiring Steve Kerr. No team has won more championships, 4, or had more all-star selections, 23, than the Warriors did in the Bob Myers era. And that era was very special. After making just one playoff appearance in 18 years before Myers took over, the Warriors set a franchise record with 7 trips to the NBA playoffs from 2013 to 2019. They also made 6 trips to the NBA Finals under Myers and had the best record in the league during his tenure. 571 and 304. That's good for a winning percentage of 65.3%. Meanwhile, the Sixers haven't made it past the second round since 2001. Now, a lot of you are probably wondering and pondering this question. Well, hold on, Chase. If he had so much success, why is he leaving Golden State? He didn't renew on that contract. I thought Bob Myers saw the writing in the wall that dynastic run was starting to run out of fumes. Here's what he said about leaving the Warriors. The Warriors thing, I've used this example before. It was like trying to hold on to the tail of a dragon. It was a ton of fun, but a ton of work. And I admire any executive that can kind of keep it going for over 20 years. I did 12, and I just felt like for me, I had to stop. What's interesting here is you ask yourself that question, is it time to move on from Daryl Morey? And let me expand on that a little bit for a YouTube short. Is it time to move on from Daryl Morey? He's been one of the most overhyped NBA executives in recent time. He's never won a championship. He's made some splashy moves, but he's been overly loyal to his stars, including James Harden and Joel Embiid. And with the Sixers, what results have we seen that's been different from before? The Sixers have not made it past the second round of the playoffs since 2001. So when Bill Simmons floats this rumor out there that Bob Myers could replace Daryl Morey because he helped Joshua Harris with the commander search for a head coach and a general manager, and in the modern day NBA, he's one of the best executives that we've ever seen, I would forgive Joshua Harris for owning the Commanders and the Sixers at the same time if he can bring in this type of executive to this organization and Bob Myers to try to lead this organization to success. Because Daryl Morey has made all of these fun, splashy, sexy moves, yet we continue to be in the same spot where we've been, and that's kind of in purgatory with the lack of playoff success. So if the Sixers can move on from Daryl Morey to hire Bob Myers, that's a move that I'm making. Chip, what are you doing?
I have to agree. Now, could you get Bob Myers to, get out of the booth, get out of the analyst chair, and get back into, NBA work, NBA general manager work?
He mentioned the grind.
He did mention the grind and how much it was. But I think, he's had a couple of years off now. And it's always, a different challenge when you go from one team to another. He's had this time off. And look, it's a real thing, this relationship he has with Josh Harris. And look, if he does enjoy working with him, I think maybe he can believe that Josh Harris can, provide the kind of environment that he needs to have success. And look, he's done it before. And there's always something to be said about making a fresh start and getting to put, your fingerprints over a team like this, because it's not every day that, a new GM can come in and take over a team that does have this much talent on it with Embiid, Paul George, and Maxey. And you can kind of have your own clean slate this offseason of, how you want to build the team around Embiid, because that's always been the challenge for everybody who's coached Joel Embiid and been on a Joel Embiid team is how do we surround him with the right pieces? And look, Daryl Morey in his time has tried a few different iterations of this roster and just has not been able to get it done. So, look, it's a time to move on from Morey. If this season continues to go south and they've won a couple games in a row here, we'll see if that means anything at all. But if it continues to go south, I agree that there's going to be someone who's going to have to take the fall, take the blame. I don't think it'd be Nick Nurse. I think if anything, it'd be Morey because he failed to put a roster together that can win without Embiid. And that was supposed to be the goal of this offseason. Get a roster that can win when Embiid's hurt. He wasn't able to do it. He's had his chances. Move on. Get someone like Bob Myers, who proven track record of creating a championship-level roster, willing to make moves, make trades. I would like it. We'll see if it comes to fruition.
Those are my thoughts. Those are Chip's thoughts. Now we want your thoughts because you always have a voice on this show. Pick a general manager for the Sixers, the head of basketball operations. DM for Daryl Morey, very analytical. BM for Bob Myers, more player evaluation using his eye test, as I believe Bob Myers played college basketball at Michigan State. He was also pretty close with Kobe Bryant, UCLA. Played college basketball at UCLA. Daryl Morey did not play college basketball. He's more of a nerd, and he was an NCAA champion in 1995. And so basketball guy against mathematics analytical guy. I'm going with the basketball guy who's had so much more success and the GM that Daryl Morey could never beat when he was with the Rockets. Our sponsor for today's show, our friends at Gametime. If you want to go to a Sixers game this season, concert, comedy show, theater event, that and a whole lot more, download the Gametime app, create an account, use the code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS, for $20 off. Terms apply. First purchase only. Thanks to Gametime Picks, a new feature that makes getting tickets to the events that you want to go to a lot easier. Instead of having to sort through thousands of tickets, Gametime will give you tickets with the best vantage point and the best price point. You can see the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. And you can also access tickets from your phone, easily resell your tickets as well. And here's an example of how the app works. Say you want to go to Celtics Sixers, right? You get that bird's eye view of the Wells Fargo Center, but also you get views from your seat and the price point as well. Sixers ticket prices are very cheap right now. It's like we're back in the process, so take advantage of it and save even bigger with Gametime. They have flash deals, zone deals, the Gametime guarantee. If you find a lower price elsewhere, Gametime will credit you 110% of the difference. So $20 off using the code CHATSPORTS. Terms apply. First purchase only. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Last minute tickets. Lowest price guarantee. So the back half of the show. Are the Sixers not tanking after all? David Aldridge, NBA insider, reporting that the Sixers are still committed to winning this year. Pretty good win over the weekend over the Cleveland Cavaliers, I must say, and Paul George continues to stink. His most notable moment in Philadelphia, getting caught in the Eagles parade last night, or celebration and making it to the NFC Championship game. We hope there's a parade, of course. David Aldridge of The Athletic on the Sixers. Despite their season careening out of control, with Joel Embiid again on the shelf and Paul George not yet having been able to transfer his game from the West Coast back east, and despite owing their first-round pick in 2025 to Oklahoma City if they aren't a bottom six team, the Sixers are committed to waiting this out, committed to waiting for Embiid, who's missed the last 11 games to get back on the court, committed to this iteration of the process with Embiid, George, and Tyrese Maxey, along with the vets who have struggled to hold up their ends of the bargain. Really, this has just been a mess in every single way imaginable for the Sixers. Joel Embiid's been injured. He's barely played. Paul George has been injured. When he's played poorly. All of the veterans on this roster pretty much not playing well. The best story of the year, Jared McCain, out for the season. The second best story of the year, Gershon Yabusele. And Tyrese Maxey is starting to turn the corner a little bit, but this has been a disastrous season. Josh Harris was asked about Joel Embiid, and he said this: we're still really happy with Joel. He's fought through a lot of injuries. You remember when we started, in his first 2 years, he didn't play at all. And then in his third year, he played 30-something games, and then he fought through all of that and became the MVP. So he's fighting right now, and we're fighting, and I'm hopeful and optimistic that we'll get through. The optimism is great, but look where that's gotten you. How did you sign off on Daryl Morey signing Joel Embiid, a big, with an injury history, who's brittle and soft, to a max deal when you didn't need to sign him to a max deal, when he's on the wrong side of 30 and has a laundry list of injury issues throughout his career? Joshua Harris has owned the Sixers for a long time. They've never made it past the second round. Owns the Commanders now. They make it to the NFC Championship game this season for the first time since 1991. Sixers fans just can't have nice things. More from Harris on Embiid. I want him to get his body right and get on the court. If he gets back on the court, everything's going to fall into place. I know him as a person. I know him as an individual. I know how hard he's working. I think he's also super smart and very in tune with his body. He has a whole team around him, and we have a whole team around him. He's getting the absolute best care and best advice. I'm hopeful that he'll fight through this and make it happen, and that's what we're going to plan for right now. I'm just tired of hearing all of this from Nick Nurse, from Daryl Morey, now from Josh Harris. Betting on Joel Embiid's health is extremely risky. And this is where things are in the Eastern Conference standings right now. The Sixers, not in a good spot. Not in a wide open East with really mediocre to bad teams, 6 through 10. Really, 4 through 10. Not that great. You have Cleveland, who the Sixers just beat. The Celtics, who the Sixers beat on Christmas. The New York Knicks, who the Sixers almost beat last week or the week before, but of course they lost in overtime. Bucks, Pacers, Pistons, Magic, Heat, Hawks, Bulls. Get into that play-in tournament. I guess that's the hope for Philadelphia, because you get in the play-in tournament, and I will say, if it's 1-8, Cavs, Sixers, might like the Sixers' chances to knock off the number 1 seed. Chip, your thoughts on all this?
The part that just worries me the most is that it really just all depends on Embiid's health.
Yeah.
And we can be optimistic as much as we want, and we can say, I'm sure Embiid's doing his best, and they're doing this plan, whatever, but we've talked about this on the show. The way Embiid's injury is, it's going to affect him for the rest of his career. It can flare up at any moment. He can have pain, swelling at any moment. There's really nothing you can do. So how can you put together a plan and bet on him just being healthy and just being there? There's just no way to know. So, I agree with you, Chase. Like a matchup against the Cavs in round 1, a team that's obviously been great this year, but hasn't had a lot of postseason success. Not the worst 1-8 matchup in the world. You're only 2 games back in the win column now, behind the Bulls for that 10 seed. Still 5 games back from getting the 9 seed. So you'd have to win back-to-back road playing games to even get that 8 seed. And, of course, still a long way to go until then. Still the trade deadline, so we'll see what they will do. But it seems like they might be buyers, even though they're 10 games under, because they are committed to this version of the team. But, again, it's a risk that I guess they're willing to take if you do tank, there's no guarantee they even get that top 6 pick. So I guess I can understand it a little bit of wanting to believe in this roster. I think they have finished 7 or 8 games when they've had their big 3 fully healthy from start to finish, and I think they're like 6-1 in those games. But it's great you're 6-1. It's only happened 7 times.
Yeah,
that's unbelievable, right?
7 times at the end of January.
Unbelievable. Nearing the trade deadline now, we'll see what they do. But looks like they're bought in on this version of the team and just hoping Embiid can stay healthy.
Yeah, let's hope so. Before we dip on out of here, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and you hope so, because if you're not going to tank, can we at least get some playoff games to watch and do watch parties for? Hit that sub button. It's 76ers Now by Chat Sports. Join the movement.